Welcome Mauya. Tiri kusangana zvakare muchirongwa chenyu Education Affairs, chirongwa chatinokurukuraka nezvedzidzo munyika yeZimbabwe. Tinotaura zvezvinoenderana nedzidzo. Ndini wenyu Clemence Nhliziyo, ndina Ailton Dominico pa sign language. Muzuva ranhasi tiri kukurukura nenyaya yeteacher welfare. Ine ndichikura ndaiva nechiwiro chekuti rimwe zuva ndichava teacher, asi takazokura takunzwa kuti kune ma-issues anotaurwa ne-teachers welfare. Tinhasi tiri kutsanangura muzuva ranhasi kuti titsanangure nyaya iyi zvizere, tikurukure kuzvizere. Tina Valadisia Zunde vanobva iro kusangano re-Progressive Teachers Union of Zimbabwe. Tinokugamuchirai kuchirongwa vaZunde.
Tinotenda masikati vateereri.
Tina zvakare Director Ndoro, Director of Advocacy and Communications within the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, kana kuti mutauriri we-Ministry ye-Primary and Secondary Education. Director ndinokugamuchirai muchirongwa.
Aiwa, tatenda.
Nhasi tiri kutaura nenyaya yema-welfare ema-teacher. Tinongonzwa muma-newspaper unongoona teacher welfare. Vamwe maticha anongotaura kuti welfare. Pamwe mungada kuti jekesera vaZunde kuti tinenge tichireva nezve chii kana tichitaura nezve kuti teacher welfare.
Thank you Nhliziyo. Welfare inobatara raramo ya teacher. Ari panosevenzera nekwaanogara. In fact, we are speaking to the issues of salaries and conditions of service. Saka ndo kunenge kuri kubasa kwedu ikoko kokuti pese patinosangana na employer wedu tinenge tichiti vedu tibatsireyo kuti muhoro wa teacher uve reasonable, kuti mashandira teacher ari pastation ave quite attractive. Zvinhu zvese izvozvo zvikangonaka saizvozvo, zvinhu zvese zvinozouya zvinongoitika yatingati automatically.
Pamwe tingada kuti tizive kuti zvatinoti zvikanaka izvozvo ndezvipi zvazvinoda kuti zvinge zvichinaka, ndezvipi zvisina kumira zvakanaka zvinoda kuti zvinge
zvikanaka. First and foremost, obviously we are speaking to the issue yesalary ya teacher. Salary ya teacher, there is nothing to talk about. Not even kuti hapana need kuti pinde nitty-gritties kuti what is the salary and so forth. You know, the 250 USD component that the teacher is taking home is not even salary, but in some kind of an allowance. Salary ya teacher iri kuma RTGS iri worth $20 as we speak. Saka ndo patinongoda tinotochemawo nevakuru nema-employer edu kuti tayaura vedu tibatsireyo. Hatisisina kana kwekuchemera. Patinochemera ndikwamuri imi vakuru, kuna president vese vanovatevera kuti dai taisa musoro pamwe chete totsvaga mari iyoyo. Mari irimo muno munyika tinozviziva. Tine ma-resources akawanda, tikaita pull our resources together, I think we'll be able to sit down and really make sure kuti teacher awana chinhu chinoita kuti abatsirikane. Nhunha dzese dzatinotaura nezvadzo dzinowanikwa muzvikoro kupi nekupi dzinopera because teacher achienda kucollege akaticha kuva innovative and teacher akaguta is quite innovative. Hapana kana push yaanoda. Ndo chikumbiro chete. Otherwise panenge pasina even need yema-supervisor kana kuti kuguta kwa teacher chete kunoita kuti basa ribatwe nemazvo.
Probably coming to you, Director, this issue of teacher welfare. You know, it's been spoken about, it's all over the news. We talk about teacher welfare. How has the issue of teacher welfare affected the provision of education in schools?
Thank you for that. You will notice that as the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, we are the user ministry of teachers. And obviously, it's not in our best interest to have disgruntled and demotivated members of staff. So this issue and the mantra of teacher welfare, which has been coming up, yes, of course, I will be the first to admit it is to a certain extent destabilized part of our education delivery systems. But let me also be the first to say that government has made certain strides to ensure that the welfare and conditions of service of the teacher is well taken care of. And when we refer to the conditions of service or teacher welfare, we are not speaking about the salary only. We are also speaking about where the amenities that the teacher is using. If we post a teacher to a rural and remote area,
yes,
the teacher should have a teacher's cottage
yes,
with electricity, flushing water, running water, right? Such that when they come from the classroom, they know that they've got electricity, they've got water. They also have got Wi-Fi to continue with their teaching, even when they are in their homes and their cottages. So that is also part of the teacher welfare. And these are some of the issues which government is really seized with, to make sure that every school has got enough accommodation for all our teachers. And it's not just accommodation, but habitable accommodation. Accommodation where there's electricity, there's water, there's Wi-Fi, and the teacher feels that they are at home. So we are making strides towards that. You'll even notice that as we are working as the whole of government, which means that we are working with the Ministry of Energy and Power Development, local government, ICT, the first port of call in provision of electricity or even water at most of our schools that are partially electrified is usually the teachers' cottages. Because we want the teacher to stay there.
True.
We don't want a teacher who says, as they assume duty at a school, they are filling in an assumption of duty form and with the right hand. In the left hand, they've got a transfer letter, a transfer application, because the place is not habitable. So first, we need to make sure that the place is habitable. And then obviously, as the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, we continue to lobby for an improvement of the teacher's salary, right? We are working as the whole of government, but as Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, we are actually not the ones who give the teachers their salaries. But we continuously lobby through the relevant arms of government to say, please, can we ensure that a teacher receives a salary to this level or to that level? There are other non-monetary benefits that are also coming in, such as the duty-free importation by civil servants. And most of the civil servants, by the way, are teachers. So some of the teachers are importing their vehicles duty-free. We're processing a lot of vehicles that are coming into the country duty-free, and these are the teachers who are importing those vehicles. But as has been said, the issue of the salaries really is not within our purview, but we continuously lobby to ensure that a teacher's salary is commensurate with their job, and therefore also then restores the dignity of the teacher within the society and within the school setup.
I've got quite a lot of follow-ups to your submission, Director, but probably we can do that when we come back into the next segment. We are just taking a break. This is Education Affairs, and today we are discussing issues to do with the teacher welfare. We always talk about teacher welfare issues. Nasta titunze nyanji vakuministry vangu chizitamangura ichi ndicho chirongwa cha Education Affairs. We are taking a break. Don't go away. Welcome back. This is your program, Education Affairs, a program where we discuss issues to do with education within the country, Zimbabwe. And today we are discussing issues to do with, teacher welfare. Director, in your submissions, you spoke about the issues to do with teachers transferring, and it is quite an issue in other regions where, when a teacher is deployed to a certain school within a certain period of time or within days, that teacher would then actually request for a transfer. And I understand the ministry now has put up a policy to say a teacher to serve a certain period of time at a school before they transfer. Maybe you might need to clarify on that issue.
Yes, we expect that a teacher at least must serve assumed duty at least for a year. In fact, 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, according to public service regulations at the station, to show their commitment to the teaching field and in their career, in their profession. But we have got issues where certain teachers, as soon as they assume duty, they already want to transfer. And here's the reason. It's not that they don't want to be teachers. Perhaps the welfare, the conditions of service, the teachers' houses, the infrastructure where a teacher is saying, I go to the classroom and I leave the classroom, when I then go home, is not habitable enough for the teacher. So this is where we are moving as the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, together with other arms of government, to ensure that our teachers' cottages are habitable. They've got Wi-Fi, they've got water, they've got electricity. When you've got all those amenities in place, you are bound to stay. We have certain areas and certain schools where there are certain teachers who have been there for the last 20 to 25 years.
Yes.
And you ask them, why are you not going into town or peri-urban? They say, no, why should I move? I'm okay where I am. I've got electricity, I've got water. The chief or the headman has actually given me a piece of land. I'm actually now also doing a commercialization, supplementing the income that I have, and the business is okay. They are the ones who are running the transport systems, the retail systems, as a side hustle for them to survive.
Yes.
So it's all because they are in a school that is habitable for them and their families.
Mr. Zunde, Mr. Ntoro here is speaking of a school that is habitable, and he's talking of the strides that government is doing to make sure that the schools are habitable. What is your take? Do you think the government is doing enough?
Yeah, ndingangoti nofunga ndopa ndikati pesa neibichana na vandoro ipapo.
Kumwe kwese manga mchiwirirana nazo.
Kwese tarichiwirirana. The largest quantum of what has been saying has just been lip service. It's one thing saying a thing and the other thing doing that particular thing. And we've been in a situation for quite a long time. Engagements have been made, non-monetary benefits, but there is no movement on the ground in terms of addressing the issues that Vandoro is raising. Brilliant ideas, but no takers. Saka problem yatinayo nasi, I'm happy is also emphasizing on the micro and localized part of my conditions of service. What must happen? Teacher anofana kusvika pachikoro paanoti achinzi imba yako iyi anosekera kuti ndinoenda kupi. Has been talking of people who have been to some stations for more than 30 years. Yes, panenge paine zvese, but the majority of our schools do not have what he's saying. Ndo dambudziko ratinaro. Tisati tatomboenda kuimba yekugara. Unoenda panotichirwa pacho chaipo. Kuti mukaenda muhurungwe, mukaenda mumbire, it's a sorry sight. And ultimately at the end of the day, this is why vandoro vangaitaura zvokuti munhu achisvika panzvimbo anotongosvika assumption of duty kuraid kwake uko ane transfer request. So this is the major problem that we have. And even where we have these houses, they are not enough. I will tell you, just last week ndandiri out there squabbles about pokugara, headmaster vari kuda imba yekugara sachief, and all such things. Ndo zvinoita demotivate the teacher, even yange wanga uri so strong spiritually. Ultimately at the end of the day ndo paunozoota kuti teacher anongoti chero kapei kacho kakazouya. So they are there, they are present physically, but mentally they have resigned. Ultimately hatizowani the effective teaching process that we all in for. Saka tiri kungoti dai mashoko edu aitwa transformed into action, tese tinofara. Saka ndo problem yatinayo iyo yokuti apart from issue ye salary, tosvika futhi pa station on the site, things are bad, are worse. Hakuna mvura, hakuna mashops haako. Fine, as we address overnight, but we all need to have that political will to make sure that we address. Dr. Education system, it's okay payanga here makore akudara. I was in Mbire the other time. Tukucha accommodation ya teacher munogara kupi. You know, my classrooms ane zima inside the office mo. Do makapekirana my teacher. One is married, akaisa keten. The other one is unmarried, akaisa keten. Umare hapo. And surely ndinogara ndichitaura kuti denda ndiri ndinofunga ndaenda pachikoro ipapo ka1 pamwedzi. Ko ndinenge ndichizvifambisa sei? azviite vataura neissue yehabitability yenzvimbo handizve kuti ticha andomira pamberi pevana unofanirwa kunge uri presentable, wakadya, wakaguta, wakapfeka zvakanaka, uchiziva kuti kumashure uko hakuna chinokunetsa. But then wosvika ipapo and worse still wozondosangana nesituation yekuti tine mamwe maclasses ari bloated where they look like the Makandiwa churches and things like that. Unoteacher, go to Gillingham, paduze mudizetum. Class from one class to the next, class 1 to 16, iri form 1, panike pai iri grade 1, panike pai ne class igege ine vana 90. And how do we then address this kind of situation? So you will find at the end of the day, in as much as the teacher has got the 0, but he is demoralized ninya echi, class size chayo. It's just one of those examples.
Pamwe takuda kuti mbononongera mvura. Pane imwe nyaya, I understand Vantoro, the government have approved in principle the principles of the teaching professionals bill. Pamwe magada kujekesa kuti zvinoreve izvo zvekuti nenyaya professionalizing the teaching field.
Yeah, Teaching Professions Council yakapasiswa necabinet zvichireva izvo kuti tiri kurealize now kuti teaching is a profession, just like being a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer. And ndo ichange itori the first port of call kutoti teacher wabva ku college ku higher tertiary kwako unotanga wando register ku Teaching Professions Council. Tisati usati waenda ku Public Service Commission kunzi upiwe chi kunzi takuti tikudeploy iyo inenge yatokuvheta yatokuona kuti uri mbori munhu akaita sei, whether you transfer kana kuti waita sei. Malawyer anonzi lawyer ane makore akadai anochaja mari yakadai, ane nhingirikini anochaja. Maticha vanenge vakuzviitawo handiti kuma private school, kuma independent schools. Uyu teacher uyu neexperience yainayo nekudzidzisa kwaanoita nemaresults aanawo from before, this teacher is supposed to earn so much. So those salary issues and conditions of service issues will be based by the Teaching Professions Council. Sa council inenge itotaura kuti iwe wabva ku college nezuro, starting salary yako nde iyi, hauenzani neane 25 years. Zvine zvichitobva mu council yacho anenge aita futi musikanzwa, aita improper association kana kuti aita corruption kana kuti amboenda kujeri, iwewe tambokuderegister kana kuti takususpenda. Izvi zvichitwa neTeaching Professions Council zvisinei nechi nehurumende mukati. Saka zvinotibatsira chaizvo kuti maticha achange vakuzviregulata vega, sekuti pavachauya kunzi vapinda kuchikoro kuno kutotoza kuti uyu teacher anotambira mari yakati because of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 zvataurwa neTeaching Professions Council. Uyu is highly recommended because akaitisa ma-A yakawanda kwakati nekwakati, saka mari yake yakawanda, pamwe inenge yatowanda kutodarika ya deputy head kana ya head.
Aiwa director, tinotenda kutsanangura ipapo. Regai katimbonwira mvura. Chirongwa chenyu education affairs nasitiri kurukura nenyaya yeteacher welfare yatinongonzwa nezvayo. Aiwa regai timbonwira mvura, musaenda kure, tiri kudzoka muchikamu chinotevera. Tadzoka zvakare muchikamu chekupedzisira chirongwa chenyu education affairs, chirongwa chatinokurukura icho nezvedzidzo munyika yeZimbabwe. Nhasi tiri kukurukura nenyaya yeteacher welfare. Muchikamu chino tatsikwa naMiss Daisy Zambuko. Miss Daisy Zambuko vanobva kubazi reZimta uye zvakare vari secretary weEducation Coalition of Zimbabwe. Tinokugamuchirai Miss Zambuko kuchirongwa.
Tinotenda.
Ndo tanga nemi mazunde tanga tichikurukura pano nenyaya yeTeacher Professional Council bill. Ndezvipi zvamunotarisira sevavamiriri vadzidzisi kana kuti sevadzidzisi zvamunotarisira kuti zvinge zvikapinda mukati mebill iri?
Thank you Clemence. Ndinoda kutenda zvikuru nedevelopment iyi. At last at long last, we are almost there.
Akana mchiti at last munoreva kuti zvakatanga kare.
Yes, in terms of the professionalization of the teaching profession. Yes. Remember, mascales are kusenzeswa as we speak. Mascales ekumombe. Ekuti teacher anopuwa mari munoita scale dzekudayo. Andiswe. But the world over, we know kuti my profession edu animal scales, they are weighted against certain scales. And we are simply saying kuti this bill, Teaching Professions Council bill, rauya at the very right time. Why? For one simple reason. Fine. Jokona kuti ndisiyane bichana na mandoro pawanga uchitaura nezve nyaya dzema salaries and so forth regarding the teaching professions bill. That bill, when it becomes law, has got completely nothing to do with nyaya dzema salaries. But inyaya yekuti it's an instrument ye quality assurance. Andiswe yekuti ku quality assurance somehow kunozo influence what one is supposed to get. Saka is some kind of a launching pad yekuti tizoonekwa wose vanhu vanokosha all because of what we live delivered. Saka ibill ratinoona ratichada kunge independent, especially because we've been involved right from the onset. When this guy akaitwa second to the country in the World Bank kuti azoita kickstart the process when Vadokora was still there. And I'm happy if he's going to be coming back. I know he's going to make sure kuti rafamba zvakanaka. I bill notinakira nokuti richaita kuti zvinhu zvinake mu classroom in terms of quality assurance. But it's a problem one. The majority of our educators have got a scant understanding of what that bill stands for. Saka it shall take us much of our time to make sure kuti tava conscientize kuti rinorevei. Kuti tizotaura nezve teaching as a profession, we need to go through the mill. Andizve. Kuti tizoti tinoda mari yakadai, people will have to understand a lot about what goes on in teaching. Andizve. So ultimately, at the end of the day, chinhu chino ndingangoti to speak like a teacher. Chinhu chinondiwedzera basa because chichaita kuti ndishande zvine simba kuti zvinhu zvangu zvinge zviri up to standard. Ndomanje ndo zvisingati tobva tadzoka futi ndo zvisingachadi teacher achicomplaina kuti mari ishoma hazvisi kuenderana.
Ndo yakwamuri Miss Zamko, maybe before you put on your hat ye ZIMTA ndimbokupai mbotora yetenyu yeikozi, as civil society, how do you view this bill? What do you expect to be in this bill as civil society?
Thank you for that question, Clemence. I think this is a welcome development. A regulatory body in the teaching profession will be a very much welcome development because teaching as a profession is not a free for all kind of a calling or profession, should I say. We were having a problem of people coming in from all walks of life and telling us that they are teachers, assuming this role which they cannot effectively deliver on. Because, as teachers, we're supposed to act in loco parentis when we are in schools and in classrooms. And because there was no regulatory authority anywhere nearby for us, we were having a problem of people coming in, pretending to teach or maybe teaching and then afterwards raping children, abusing children, learners, students and so on. And upon further investigations would then find out these people were never teachers at all. They don't even have the pedagogy, they don't even have the ethics that are needed to be around children, students and learners. So this is a welcome development. We look forward to working with this regulatory body and we hope for the best.
Probably, for the best of those that do not understand, where does it leave issues to do with the trade unionism? We know that there are teachers' unions that are there vis-a-vis the Teaching Professional Council. Where is the separation there?
Okay, it's very clear. This regulatory body is not coming to compete with trade unions. Their roles are very different. As I said, the Teaching Professions Council is a regulatory body, just like your lawyers, Law Society of Zimbabwe, or the Nurses Professions Council, or something, regulating entry and exit into the profession. Whereas the unions, we are there to advocate for teachers' welfare, labor rights, education as a right, and so on, access to rights and labor rights and the welfare issues. So I don't see how we can entangle each other there. I know there's a misunderstanding that maybe it's coming in to compete as another union or something, but no.
That's exactly what we really want to demystify.
Yes.
And Mr. Zunda, you also pointed out to say even the teachers themselves, they don't understand sometimes the difference that are there, probably in showing that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. What then are you going to be doing as teachers union to make sure that the teachers have got this understanding, and also to make them participate? Because I understand the bill is yet to go to to Parliament, and probably after into the next Parliament, because now so what are you going to be doing as teachers?
Yeah, we have got an uphill task to in front of us. Yeah, like you correctly raised the issue, where people will tend to muzzle the true to say trade union and then professions teaching council. Zvakatosiyana sejecha nesemende, right? Like Desi clearly spelled out, we are dealing, when we are talking about trade unions, we are dealing with my issues to do with the welfare of the teacher. This roka. But kana tiri ku Teaching Professions Council is a regulated body. We are saying kuti ndiyo homwe inona kushanda kwa teacher. In other words, even at the inception, I'll be very clear with you, at the inception, even Public Service Commission, even up to this point, they've been dragging their feet to say kuti vana varuda kuita sei. Vachitora TPC, Teaching Professions Council, vachifunga kuti ruda kutora Royal Commission. No, these are two different things. Right? Like we indicated, kuti every other profession in a regulated body. And this way, where my issues not my working conditions, my issues to do with the quality of delivery of
the service.
Yes. Do but notice saka ma issues welfare teacher and see work trade union, and trade unions will never be affected. Teaching Professions Council.
Thank you, Mr. Zunde, for clarifying that we have come to the end of our program. Maybe one last word from you, Ms. Zamko.
One last word from you would be that as ZIMTA and as ECOSI, we want to welcome very much this TPC bill. We hope that it sails through, because issues of quality assurance are important to us. Issues of exit and entry into the profession are very important to us, and these are the things that will take our quality education to the next level and lead to the transformation of education as a whole in Zimbabwe.
Aiwa ndinokutendai Ms. Zamko, ndinokutendai Vazunde. Ichi chirongwa chenyu Education Affairs chatinokurukura nezo dzidzo munyika ya Zimbabwe. Nasi tanga tichikurukura nenyaya ye teacher welfare. Tikazodzika nayo tikasvika kukurukurawo bhiri riri kuuya reTeacher Professional Council. Toda kutendai vateereri tinosangana zvakare muzvirongwa zvinotevera. Zita rangu ndinonzi Clemence Nhliziyo, ndichida kutendawo zvakare Elton Dominico ari pasign language. Ngatisangane zvakare muzvikamu zvinotevera.